Hi everyone, a very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to today's session where we are going to discuss about the atmospheric conditions. Guys, this will be done in two parts. This is the very first part of the atmospheric conditions discussion. So let's get started with me, Ankana, your expert for social sciences at Embibe. As you can see, I have done my studies in the field of humanities and I'm associated with the education sector for more than 9 years now. Where I have had the wonderful opportunity to interact with the students of both CBSE and ICSE board offline and online. That was a quick introduction about me. Let's have a quick introduction of the chapter as well. So the chapter that we are doing is basically air, which has been divided in three sections. First one is Earth's atmosphere, second is structure of atmosphere, and the third one is atmospheric conditions. Now this is as per the rationalized syllabus that we have. The first two sections have already been finished in the very first session of the chapter of air that we have done. The atmospheric condition, because contains a lot of small details, will be spreading it over a period of two sessions. Okay? So in today's sessions, the concepts that we are going to cover is going to be weather and climate, variation in the temperature of the atmosphere, air pressure, variation in air pressure, and classification of winds. So let's get started without any further ado. Before we begin, let's also have a quick recap. In the previous session, we discussed that Earth's atmosphere is very vital for life because it protects us from the sun rays and forms like a blanket which keeps us covered from a lot of harmful things entering from the universe, primarily the harmful rays being emitted from the sun. Then we also spoke about the distribution of the gases that is there in the air, which is nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide and few others like helium, argon, etc. Then nitrogen is the most abundant one. It is almost 78%, which is very also important for life, primarily for the lives of the plants. It is converted for plants used by the soil bacteria because plants are not able to directly take it and consume it like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then we understood that oxygen is the second most abundant. It is absolutely essential for the life to exist because respiration process में the gas that is consumed is oxygen. Then we discussed about carbon dioxide, which at present is in a very small amount in the air, but if it starts increasing will pollute the air and will be problematic for us. Important for plants because it is also utilized by them in order to finish the process of photosynthesis. They take carbon dioxide and actually give out oxygen, which is very important for us, right? Hi Ritika, I have been absolutely fine. How have you been? We are just doing a quick recap, bache. Then it is being disrupted by the amount of carbon dioxide present in the air is actually been disrupted. There used to be a clear balance. The amount being emitted was earlier being basically purified by the plants. But humans' activities like using a lot of running a lot of factories, using a lot of machines and cars, using fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, etc., burning that has now increased the amount of carbon dioxide which we are emitting, and that nature is not able to purify. So this is now leading to a problem called global warming, where we see that the carbon dioxide present in the air traps more heat, and all of this is leading to a general rise in the temperature where the ice caps are melting, the sea level is rising. That is the problem. Okay? Greenhouse gases, basically, as I told you, carbon dioxide is an example, trapping of heat leading to global warming with consequences like melting ice, rising sea levels. Atmospheric layers में we discussed about troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere, and each has their unique characteristics and functions in the atmosphere. So this is all that was done in the previous session. Let's start with today's session. So we are going to talk about, have you ever played outside with your friends on a very bright sunny day and all of a sudden you might have noticed that it started raining? ऐसा तो बहुत बार हुआ है. We have noticed that we are playing and there was no sign of the rain, there was no sign of the clouds, but all of a sudden it would start pouring. Well, this doesn't have to do anything with the mysterious magic forces of the nature. It's all because the weather keeps on constantly changing. We know seasons change. What do you mean by weather changing? In this session, we will learn about the main differences between weather and climate, and in fact understand what do you mean when you say the term weather. Because ideally, it's not supposed to change at every part in the day, right? Abhi barish, abhi dhoop doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's understand what does it technically mean, okay? Ritika, as I told you, we're just getting started. Okay? Okay. Now guys, you may have heard people saying, hey, the weather is very nice today in the morning. And by the evening, they might have said, the weather doesn't feel so good. Why? Because there has been a certain shift from what it was during the beginning of the day to what it has become during the or by the end of the day. So how come it changed from morning to evening? Seasons have a certain period, right? It doesn't change from morning 11 a.m. to evening 6 p.m. something else, and that becomes altogether something else by the evening. So that's concerning, or maybe that's curious. That makes me curious. That's kind of crazy maybe, or a little unique. But at the same time, एक और चीज़ मुझे बहुत सुनने में आती है कि यार क्लाइमेट जो है यहाँ का बड़ा प्लेजेंट रहता है. Climate of India is very pleasant, usually is monsoon type. तो अगर climate वैसा है, तो फिर सुबह से शाम में कैसे बदल जा रहा है? How is it changing from morning to evening? So maybe we are talking about weather and not the climate. Does that mean both of these things are not the same? Let's find out. So weather refers to a short-term, ever-changing atmospheric conditions. So first of all, how do you assess how the weather is? कैसे पता करते हैं कि ये जो मौसम है, ये जो environment है, वो कैसा है? So weather is basically referring to the atmospheric condition, to the environment in terms of atmosphere around us. But that would be at any point in the day. वो बहुत short term में लिया जाता है और किसी भी वक्त होता है, as a result of which it can change very frequently. It can change multiple times through the day, it can change multiple times through the week or the month. तो वेदर जो है बच्चे, आप एटमॉस्फेयर के कंडीशन को असेस करके बताते हो कि उसकी क्या हालत है, कैसे सिचुएशन है. इसीलिए क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि समटाइम्स इट्स सनी इन द मॉर्निंग एंड क्लाउडी इन द इवनिंग, और मे बी क्लाउडी इन द मॉर्निंग एंड क्वाइट हॉट बाय द इवनिंग. सुबह में टेम्परेचर प्लेजेंट थी, अभी गर्मी हो गई, सुबह गर्मी थी, अभी ठंडी हो गई. ऐसे चेंजेस थ्रू द सेम डे, एक ही दिन के दौरान और अंदर हमने कई बार देखा है. वी हैव सीन इट मल्टीपल टाइम्स, राइट? This is what basically refers to weather. So weather, how do you measure? How do you assess? कैसे पता चलता है weather कैसे होगा? So there are certain elements, there are certain parameters. कुछ ऐसी चीज़ों हैं, कुछ ऐसे features हैं जिनको measure करके हम weather का पता लगाते हैं. What are these elements? These elements are humidity, wind and precipitation along with the temperature. तो temperature कैसा है? उसके साथ what is the amount of moisture present in the air, at what speed is the wind flowing, and of course amount of rainfall, कितनी बारिश हो रही है, नहीं हो रही है. Based on this we assess what the weather looks like, how the weather is. ठीक है, इन सारी चीज़ों के ऊपर बेस करके हम ये समझते हैं कि वेदर कैसा है और कैसा नहीं है. Now another thing that we have to understand is weather can keep changing through the day because again, as I said, it may not be raining in the morning but it starts raining in the evening, which means there has been a certain shift in the weather. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Weather में थोड़ा सा बदलाव जो है वो आ चुका है. It can change from hour to hour or day to day. What you have to focus over here is that it is a short term thing. वेदर जो है लंबे दौरान नहीं, ड्यूरेशन को नहीं मेजर किया जाता है. एटमॉस्फेरिक कंडीशन इन एवरी शॉर्ट स्पैन ऑफ टाइम रेफर्स टू वेदर. Hot or humid weather can lead to irritability, while pleasant and breezy weather can uplift one's mood. It depends on what you like. There are few people who like it sunny and hot and feel more energetic. There are few people like me who like it cloudy and winds blowing, a little pleasant, and I would like to sit and chill at that time. So it keeps on varying and it depends on that. Then what does exactly climate mean? Climate is not different from weather. Climate is basically the sum of weather conditions. As we said, weather keeps on changing hour to hour or day to day. Weather जो है वो घंटे दर घंटे या दिन पर दिन बदल सकता है. दिन में 2 बार बदल सकता है, हफ्ते में 4 बार बदल सकता है. इन सारे वेदर कंडीशंस को एक बहुत लंबे समय के लिए एक बड़े से एरिया का जब आप ऑब्जर्व करते हो और इसका सम निकालते हो, so when you observe weather condition of a very large area for a very long period of time and then take out a sum of it, take out an average of it, ki mostly how is the weather condition, that gives us climate, which means the measuring parameters for both is going to be the same, right? Ritika, you do? Okay. I think you're saying आपके एग्जाम्स भी हैं. I'll get back to that. So climate क्या होता है? Climate is average weather condition, which means जैसे today it was hot, tomorrow it was cold, again 3 days it was hot, then another 4 days it was raining, then another 5 days it was hot again. Like this, when you add and see most of the days what was happening, majority what was happening, weather का sum निकाल के, that will give you the climate. So climate is long span of time में average weather condition कैसा रहा है. So climate as a result will be more stable and predictable. For example, we say India has a monsoon type of climate. So India का observation was done for 30 years, almost 30 years, an entire nation. And then we saw what keeps on happening in terms of weather for 30 years on an average, and we saw most of the time it's raining, it's monsoon season. So climate of India is monsoon. ठीक है? Ritika, sum as an average. When you add everything, you add all the weather conditions and see most of the days what was happening. Average, on an average, what was happening. ज़्यादातर दिनों पे क्या हो रहा था, ज़्यादा दिनों में हमने कैसे conditions देखे. That will give you a climate, and that's why we are saying it's a long period of time. So long period of time like 20 years, 30 years. You saw the weather conditions for 20 years of a place, and then you realized, acha, most of the days in these 20 years, this place has had a summer weather climate. This place has had a monsoon type of climate. यहाँ ज़्यादातर बारिश हुई, यहाँ ज़्यादातर गर्मी रही. India has a monsoon type of climate. ठीक है? So climate, because we are taking a very long observation, we are not changing it day on day. It gives us a more stable observation. It is bound to be more predictable. आपको ज़्यादा better पता होता है कि क्या होगा, क्या नहीं होगा, and gives you a broader perspective. एक broad perspective देता है weather, एक narrow perspective देता है day on day change होता जाता है. ठीक है? चलो, तो इसी बात पे एक क्वेश्चन कर लेते हैं. डैश रेफर्स टू अ शॉर्ट टर्म एवर चेंजिंग एटमॉस्फेरिक कंडीशन. शॉर्ट टर्म में क्या पता करते हैं हम, वो बताना है हमें. Okay, and we've got the answers. Rathore, Shushmita, I'm waiting for you to answer. Govind ne attempt liya hai, good job. And Ritika and Manasvi have answered absolutely correct in perfect timing. That's wonderful. It is the weather that we are talking about. Weather is basically the day-to-day or the hour-to-hour change in the atmospheric conditions. Now, variations in the temperature of atmosphere. Okay, how does this change in the atmosphere actually happens? Temperature shows hotness or coldness in the air atmosphere. So you take a thermometer and then you measure, right? Is it hot? Is it cold? That is what is determined by temperature. Are you feeling chilly? Are you feeling hot? That is what the temperature is assessing. So naturally it will vary through the day or night and across different regions, across different countries for various reasons and seasons, of course, right? What are the various reasons? Okay, maybe during the day it was very sunny, so the temperature will be high. Now the clouds have covered the sky, so the sun rays are not directly coming to the ground and heating it up, so the temperature will drop a little, right? बहुत सिंपल सी बात है. सुबह में बहुत कड़ी धूप थी, वो सन रेज सीधा आ रहे थे, ग्राउंड को टच कर रहे थे, तो पूरा गर्म कर रखा था. अब वो सन रेज जो है क्लाउड से ब्लॉक हो गए, अब सीधा नहीं आ रहे, क्लाउड से ब्लॉक हो गए, थोड़ी हवा चल रही है, थोड़ा विंडी हो गया, तो टेम्परेचर थोड़ा ड्रॉप हो जाएगा, थोड़ी सी प्लेजेंट हो जाएगी, गर्मी कम हो जाएगी. Summers are typically hotter, we know, than winters. That is why they are the summers. Summers are identified with high temperatures. गर्मियों में यही तो होता है ना, समर में क्या होता है, हाई टेम्परेचर इज देयर, तो वो सर्दियों से ज़्यादा गर्म होती है. The distribution of temperature is influenced by insolation, which is the solar energy received by Earth. It's very simple. The more amount of solar energy, the more amount of sun rays Earth receives, wherever, जिस भी हिस्से में धरती के, that portion will be hotter. The less amount of sun rays it will receive, the cooler it will be. जहाँ ज़्यादा गर्मी, धूप की जो रेज है वो ज़्यादा कैप्चर होंगी, वो ज़्यादा गर्म होगी. धूप की रेज कम कैप्चर होंगी तो कम गर्म होंगी. ठीक है. So ma'am, it will be some cold weather. Ritik, I'm not sure what you mean by some cold weather. ठीक है. So in simple words, temperature is directly proportional to the amount of sun rays being received. If more sun rays are being received, it will be hotter. Less sun rays being received, cooler. Insolation decreases from equator to the poles, leading to lower temperatures in polar regions. Poles are covered with snow due to low insolation and consequently low temperatures. Excessive temperature rise can negatively impact the crop growth as well. So what do we understand over here? This is the earth. ठीक है, ये क्या है, ये earth है हमारा. अब देखो क्या करना है. I'll show you from here itself. If this is the earth, then you guys, let's say the sun is here. Because of the distance, the sun will look very very small, है ना. Distance की वजह से क्या होगा, ये sun जो है हमें बहुत छोटा दिखेगा. Now the sun ray starts coming, so how it comes is basically because of the distance again, it directly hits this portion. Now you have read in the very first chapter of geography, what are longitudes and latitudes, what is equator, the prime meridian, ये सब हमने पढ़ा है. Polar region, Arctic circle, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. Have we read these things? We have read these things, right? Absolutely, Ritika, what you're saying is correct. तो ये क्या हो रहा है, रेज यहाँ पे ऐसे जा रही हैं. This is how the sun rays are going. Plus the earth is also tilted. ठीक है. Now this is how the earth is. Where is the equator? Equator is somewhere here. यहाँ कहीं पे equator है हमारा, in the middle. Then you have this as Tropic of Cancer. This is your Tropic of Capricorn. This is your Arctic Circle. Somewhere around this is your Antarctic. This is your Antarctic Circle. This is your Arctic Circle. This is the polar region, where the poles will pass. Poles का माने the imaginary axis that we imagine. The poles where it is passing in the north and south. Now these sun rays which are coming to the earth are directly entering this portion. Okay, equator throughout the year. So this portion mostly has a summer kind of climate throughout the year, which is your equator wala portion, the equatorial region. Now as you start going away from the equator, either towards the northern pole or towards the southern pole, जब आप ये equator से, equator कहाँ है हमारा, यहाँ है. So when you start moving away from the equator, be it on this side, okay, be it on this side or be it on this side, what we observe over here is that the sun rays are also kind of decreasing. It is not the same amount in which and the same intensity in which it is reaching this portion. इधर धीरे धीरे घटती जा रही है. So as it is decreasing, the amount of heat, जो heat है जो poles पे पहुंच रही है is less than what is reaching over here in and around the equator. Equator के पास जो पहुंच रही है उससे काफ़ी कम होती है. That is why polar regions would usually be very, very cold, and you will in fact find a lot of snow around it. Whereas over this portion, it is going to be hot and hot throughout the year, not just in some portions. Okay? Again, wherever it is hot and the temperature is very high, it is not very good. टेम्परेचर का अच्छा होना बहुत अच्छा नहीं होता है, मतलब टेम्परेचर का हाई होना, इट अफेक्ट्स द क्रॉप, द प्लांटेशन. So it's better to have things in moderation. It is not good for lives in general. In general, जो भी जिंदगी है, form of life है, उसके लिए it's not very good. Now, urban areas experience higher temperature compared to rural areas. Why? It's very simple. Urban heat is caused by heat absorbing properties of concrete, metal, asphalt during the day. Cities also trap warm air due to the crowded high-rise buildings, further elevating temperatures. So in cities, what do we see? We see more buildings, we see less trees, we see buildings blocking easy flow of wind, we see concrete roads, not grounds. But when a ground is there, it will heat slower, like the soil. But if there is a cement concrete over there, it will heat faster. You yourself would have experienced, if you're walking in a garden, अगर आप गार्डन में चल रहे हो, there is a concrete path and then there is grass on one side. In very, very hot season, you won't be able to walk bare feet on the concrete path, but you will be able to walk bare feet on the soil or the grass. Have you felt this? अगर आप किसी गार्डन में या कहीं पे भी चल रहे हो और भरी दोपहर है, ठीक है, इट्स टाइम ऑफ द आफ्टरनून और नून, 12 o'clock, 1 PM in the afternoon, इट विल बी वेरी ईजी. आपके लिए आसान होगा कि आप घास पे या मिट्टी पे नंगे पाँव चल लो, ठीक है, लेकिन बिना फुटवेयर के उस कॉन्क्रीट पे चलना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. हैव यू एवर एक्सपीरियंस दिस? यू मस्ट हैव एट सम पॉइंट इन टाइम. या फिर और इन अ हाउस वेयर you have, right? In a house where the sun rays are falling on the floor, you can't go bare feet over there, but on the side where it is shadow, you can still stand. Why? Because the concrete absorbs a lot of heat. So the way cities are made, जैसे शहर बने होते हैं with so many buildings, less amount of trees, less amount of soil, more amount of concrete roads, all of that is absorbing a lot of heat. ये ना बहुत सारा heat absorb कर रहा होता है. So cities tend to get more hot. Plus, cities have more vehicles, cities have more industries, which is again emitting a lot of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. ये जो vehicles चल रहे हैं, इतने सारे लोग हैं, ठीक है, with so many people, all of them are just producing carbon dioxide in the air, and carbon dioxide will absorb heat. तो शहरों में भीड़ ज़्यादा होती है, सारे लोग कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज़्यादा प्रोड्यूस कर रहे होते हैं, व्हीकल्स ज़्यादा होते हैं, वो बहुत सारा कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्रोड्यूस कर रहे होते हैं, और ये सारी गैसेस क्या करती हैं, जो हीट होता है उसको ट्रैप करती हैं. तो शहरों में गर्मी ज़्यादा लगती है, ठीक है. प्लस winds blow easily when there is a open path. That is why when you go in a field or a garden, you will experience wind on your face, your hair will blow, ठीक है. जब आप खुले जगह पे जाओगे जहाँ पे फील्ड है, ठीक है, या फिर छत पे आप जाओगे, when you go on the rooftop of a high rise building, you will experience the air, but you will not feel it in the ground. आप जो है surface level पे वो सब नहीं feel करते हो. क्यों? The winds, the buildings, the houses, they are blocking the flow of the wind, which is making the ground more hot and not circulating the temperature. If the wind keeps on circulating, एक ही जगह का गर्म होना मुश्किल है, वो गर्म हवा घूम करके ठंडी भी होती है, तो विंड जो है, टेम्परेचर जो है थोड़ा मॉडरेट रहता है. अब ना ही विंड्स बह रही हैं, ना ही आपका जो है टेम्परेचर सर्कुलेट हो रहा है. तो अर्बन एरियाज में ये सब बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है, विच इज़ नॉट देयर इन रूरल एरियाज. इन रूरल एरियाज यू हैव मोर ट्रीज, यू हैव मोर सॉइल, यू हैव लेस पीपल, लेस व्हीकल. ऑल ऑफ दैट कंट्रोल्स द टेम्परेचर, रेगुलेट्स द टेम्परेचर अ लिटिल मोर देन द सिटीज. इसीलिए शहरों में ज़्यादा गर्मी, गाँव में थोड़ा कम होता है. प्लस दिस लाइक अ लॉट ऑफ ट्रीज एंड ऑल दैट डेफिनेटली मॉडरेट्स द टेम्परेचर इन अ ग्रेट डील. So let's answer another question quickly. The question is, an important factor that influences the distribution of temperature is circulation, insulation or drainage system. Which out of the following affects the temperature? Temperature में से किससे affect होता है? Okay guys, and let's check your responses. Manaswi has answered absolutely correct. Perfect timing. Good job. Swarnika ने भी सही जवाब दिया है. Govind and Ritika have taken an attempt. And Rathore Shushmita, I'm waiting for you to answer. ठीक है? Ritika, it's asking that what is that factor which determines the temperature? जहाँ पे भी temperature हम measure करते हैं वो किस factor से influence होता है, affect होता है, impact होता है. So it is impacted by the amount of sun rays received, and the amount of sun rays received means insolation, right? So the correct answer will be insolation. ठीक है? Now air pressure variation in air pressure and variation in air pressure. Air pressure क्या होता है? What do you mean by pressure? Pressure is basically the force I apply anywhere, है ना? When we say कि hey, put more pressure over here, or I am under a lot of pressure, what does it mean? I am feeling some force on my head, on my mind, right? Or hey, don't put so much of pressure. Don't force your weight on my hand. Don't put so much of force. So, bachche, when air is there in and around us, we may not feel it. When you try moving your hand like this, you'll feel some weight, some force on your hand, which shows that air is in and around us. Now, when it exists in and around us, it has some mass, some weight. कुछ तो वजन होता होगा हवा का, कुछ उसमें weight होता होगा. Now, what is pressure? Pressure is basically the amount of force exerted on a surface. ये एक surface है. इस पे जब आप force लगाते हो, जोर लगाते हो, when you put force on it, that is what we call as pressure. उसको हम pressure कहते हैं. ठीक है? Now, when air is there, ठीक है, ये मान लो this is the air. We cannot see air, but air has some weight. कुछ तो वजन होगा. Some air would have some mass, some weight. So naturally, because of its mass or weight, whatever mass it has, it must be exerting some force on the surface. ये क्या कर रहा होगा? Surface पे कुछ तो force लगा रहा होगा, right? It must be exerting some force because of the weight, some pressure. So the force because of the weight of the air that is exerted on the surface is basically in simplest form known as air pressure. ठीक है? तो जो हवा के वजन की वजह से, एक सर्टेन वेट की वजह से फोर्स अप्लाई होता है सरफेस पे, उसको एयर प्रेशर कहते हैं. ठीक है? There is the weight of air pressing on the earth's surface or any surface for that matter. It's highest at sea level and decreases with height in atmosphere. So, bache, when we were reading the different layers, we saw that the amount of air present decreases as we go up. It is the most dense, सबसे ज़्यादा हवा surface के around present है, और जब आप धीरे धीरे ऊपर जाने लगते हो वो कम होती जाती है, उसकी जो प्रेजेंस है, उसका जो अमाउंट है, उसकी जो डेंसिटी है, जो वॉल्यूम है, वो कम होने लगती है. So as you start going away from the surface of the earth, the amount of air starts decreasing. When there is less air, naturally pressure will be less. जहां पे भी ज्यादा एयर होगा, ज्यादा वेट होगा, ज्यादा प्रेशर होगा. जहां पे हवा कम होगी, कम वेट होगा, कम प्रेशर होगा. सिंपल है ना. If there are 100 people standing here, then weight of 100 people is putting more pressure on this ground. But if you keep going away, then you will find only 50 people standing there. So the pressure of on the ground will be less, क्योंकि only 50 people are there, less weight is there, so less force is there, less pressure. When you move further ahead, only 5 people are standing. So it will, over there, the pressure would be the least. सबसे कम pressure लग रहा होगा, because सबसे कम weight है वहाँ पे, least amount of weight is there. Considering everyone weighs the same, मान लेते हैं कि सारे लोग जो खड़े हैं उनका वजन सेम है. So wherever there is more air, more pressure, because more weight, as you keep moving away from the surface of the earth on the altitude, जब आप ऊपर ऊपर जाने लगते हो, हवा जो है कम होने लगती है. तो हवा कम है तो प्रेशर भी कम होने लगता है. ठीक है. So sea level means at the level of the sea, which means absolutely on the surface. ठीक है. PA exams are coming, so can you send me some worksheets on geography? Bache Ritika, on the app, when you go on the practice section, you have enough worksheets for all the chapters. I don't have to send it to you. We already have put it on the application for you. So just go on the Embibe app. Whether if you want to take tests, then go in the test tab. If you want to practice questions, go under the practice tab. And just select the chapter, select the subject, and as many questions as you want to practice. You will find n number, chapter specific, full tests are also there if you want to practice the entire syllabus. So practice as much as you want from there, okay? So the pressure is highest at the sea level, which is basically the ground level, and as you go up, the pressure will decrease with the height in atmosphere, because the amount of air, the density of air, that decreases, right? Hi Kushagra Sinha, welcome to the session and thank you so much. Temperature influences the distribution of air pressure. So temperature क्या हो गया? The amount of sun rays received, even that influences the distribution of air pressure. उससे भी air pressure differ करता है. क्यों? How does temperature affect the air pressure? Let's understand that. बच्चे, we are saying that air has a certain weight. ठीक है. What happens when you heat up the air? ठीक है. जब आप air को heat कर देते हो, how will you heat the air? So if this is the surface and this is the air, imagine a lot of sun rays coming here. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे sun rays आते हैं. When a lot of sun rays are coming here, means this surface is receiving a lot of heat. बहुत सारा धूप आ रहा है तो ये surface पे बहुत ज़्यादा heat generate हो रहा है, बहुत गर्मी हो रही है, तो this surface will get hot. Surface hot हो जाएगा, ज़मीन गर्म हो जाएगी. ज़मीन गर्म हो जाएगी तो it will affect the air above it. उसके ऊपर जो हवा है वो भी affect होगी. And eventually the air will also heat up. हवा भी गर्म हो जाएगी. Now air has a characteristic. What is that characteristic? Hot air gets very light. Hot air जो है ना उसका वजन बहुत कम होता है. It is very light in weight. ठीक है. And when it is very light in weight, it starts lifting up. कोई चीज बहुत हल्की है वजन में, ऊपर जाने लगेगी. You might have seen hot air balloons. Why does it go up in the sky? Because when the air heats up, it becomes lighter and it becomes so light that it starts rising up and it takes the balloon along with itself. Hot air balloon कैसे function करता है? जो बलून के अंदर की हवा होती है आप उसको गर्म कर देते हो. हॉट एयर क्योंकि वजन में बहुत हल्का होता है तो धीरे धीरे ऊपर जाने लग जाता है गर्म होकर के, और अपने साथ साथ बलून को भी ले जाता है, इतना हल्का हो जाता है. तो हॉट एयर इज वेरी लाइट इन वेट. सो व्हाट हैज हैपेंड, सरफेस गॉट हीटेड, द एयर ऑल्सो बिकेम हॉट. जमीन गर्म हुई, उसके ऊपर का हवा भी गर्म हो गया. Now it was normally there, but now it has become hot air. Hot air will do what? Hot air will start rising up. अब ये हवा जो है ये ऊपर जाने लग जाएगी. So high temperature create low pressure areas. What do we understand by that? The air which was present over here has got heated up and started going up. यहाँ पे हवा थी, गर्म हो गई, गर्म हुई, हल्की हुई, ऊपर जाने लग गई. Now the air which was present here heated up, started going up, which means there is less air over here. अब यहाँ पे कम हवा बची है, and whenever there is less air, pressure will become less, pressure will become low, क्योंकि हवा ऊपर जा रही है, ठीक है, ऊपर उठ रही है, तो अब यहाँ कम हवा बची है, तो अब यहाँ पे प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा, क्योंकि कम वजन का जोर पड़ रहा है. So wherever there is hot air, always remember it will not stay on the surface to put pressure, it will start rising up, वो ऊपर उठने लग जाएगी. और इसीलिए जहां भी हाई टेम्परेचर होगा, जहां भी गर्मी होगी, वहां पे हमेशा जो है लो प्रेशर रहेगा, बिकॉज देयर विल नॉट बी एनफ एयर टू पुट मोर प्रेशर ऑन द ग्राउंड. Whereas the opposite will happen in cold places. In cold places, the air will be cold, it will not lose its weight, it will remain as is and will create more pressure. So those will be relatively high pressure zones. वहां पे high air pressure रहेगा, ठीक है. तो जहाँ पे टेम्परेचर ज़्यादा गर्म होता है, अब हवा गर्म होती है, उठने लगती है ऊपर, राइज करने लगती है, विच क्रिएट्स अ लो प्रेशर एरिया. लो टेम्परेचर जहाँ होता है वह मीन्स कूलर एरियाज, राइट. यहाँ पे हवा ठंडी रहती है, अपने सरफेस पे रहती है, विच मीन्स इट इज अ हाई प्रेशर जोन बिकॉज एयर इज एक्सर्टिंग मोर प्रेशर ऑन इट. ठीक है. Why, Ritika? But why? Those worksheets we, the teachers, the people at Embibe have only created. Even if I create something new, it will be having similar questions. We have created and put it there for your use only, bache. So even if I create something, we'll have similar or same questions. It will not be very different. Okay? So low temperature create high pressure areas with clear skies and sunny skies. Clear and sunny skies. In areas having low temperature, the air is cold, therefore heavy. Heavy air sinks and creates a high pressure. So heavy air क्या करता है? Heavy air will basically be like this. It will put a pressure like this. So this will become like a high pressure zone. Whereas hot air will go up and will make the surface a low pressure zone. So air moves from high pressure to low pressure, driving atmospheric circulation. Now another very important thing. Now let's say this is one place. Okay, this is a big area is what you have to imagine. Now this area, here the temperature comparatively is cold and here it is hot. ये hot surface area है, ये cold surface area. What will be happening over here? Sun rays is coming, heating the ground. So the air will start going up and will create a low pressure, right? This will be a low pressure zone. This is a cold area, which means air is cold, is heavy, is sinking down, is putting its pressure down on the surface. So here, this is how the air would look like. This is how it would be acting. So more pressure on the ground over here. So this is a high pressure zone. So this zone has more air, this zone has less air. If all the air rises up, it will become vacuum and no air will be left. What will happen to the life over there? So nature has created something to solve this problem, right? Whenever बच्चे there is a difference in pressure, जब भी pressure में difference होता है, वो water के condition में ले लो, air के condition में ले लो, किसी भी condition में ले लो, movement will always happen from who has more to who has less, who has high to who has low. मूवमेंट हमेशा हाई से लो की तरफ होता है. तो मूवमेंट हमेशा कहाँ होगा? हाई प्रेशर से लो प्रेशर की तरफ. Now when you feel the wind blowing, why is it blowing and how is it blowing? When this hot air starts going up and the cold air is exerting pressure, this becomes low pressure, this becomes high pressure ground. There will be certain area empty over here because the air has gone up. थोड़ा सा जगह खाली हो जाएगा, हवा ऊपर चली गई है. So now this hot air, okay, this hot air will rush in here to fill this up, which means from high pressure to low pressure, air will move to fill this up, and that is how we feel the wind. That is how the temperature also circulates. So cold air will come, it will get heated up again, it will rise up. While this hot air is going up, we know that a higher altitude, ऊंचाई पे temperature कम होता है, cold होता है. तो यहाँ पे temperature cold होगा, तो ये हवा यहाँ पे आके ठंडी हो जाएगी. This hot air will come here, will get cooled down again, and it will again go back. ये फिर से यहाँ पे sink कर जाएगी. ठीक है? It will sink down here. Then again यहाँ पे it will go. So this is how the circle keeps on going. The temperature keeps on circulating. The air keeps on circulating. Okay? So high temperature create high pressure areas with clear and sunny skies. Is this true or is this false? ये true है या ये false है? Okay guys, and let's check your responses. High temperature create high pressure areas. Govind and Manasvi, absolutely correct. Good job. Ritika has taken an attempt. Bachche dekho. High temperature, it is opposite. Okay. So the statement is false. How you can remember is high temperature means hot air means low pressure. ठीक है, उल्टा होगा. If temperature is high, pressure is low. If temperature is low, then pressure will be high. That is one way how you can remember it. That it is always the opposite. The temperature and pressure is opposite. When temperature is high, pressure is low. When temperature is low, pressure is high because cold air is heavy and hot air is light. ठीक है? Yes, Ritika, it will be false. It is false, right? Okay, great. Now, if we have to classify winds, ठीक है? Wind को अगर classify करना है, so what do we have? Wind is the movement of air from high pressure to low pressure. So if you remember, you guys, I showed you over here. I drew a very vivid diagram over here to show you. Oh, sorry, I went too far. यहाँ पे. This is how air moves, right? High pressure to low pressure, goes up, gets cold, goes back to the high pressure zone. And this is how it keeps moving. This is how air is circulating. So we have understood that wind movement happens because difference in pressure. Low pressure and high pressure zone में हवा घूमती रहती है. Sometimes you can feel it, sometimes you cannot. So wind observable in various forms from gentle breezes to strong storms. Sometimes we don't feel it all. Sometimes we'll feel it slightly in the evening, or sometimes when you're walking your hair or your skin, you'll feel a little bit of a wind. Sometimes very strong storm where your doors would feel like it's going to come down, right? So wind has different forms. Light breezes, pleasant, scary and stormy. So wind can blow away dry leaves, uproot trees and disperse smoke and dust. So wind has different capacities, right? It can sometimes just blow enough that only dry leaves will blow. Sometimes it is a little stronger, so the dust will also start flowing. And sometimes it is so strong that the trees will fall because of the speed and the strength of the wind. कई बार सिर्फ पत्ते सूखे घूम पाते हैं, कई बार थोड़ा डस्ट भी उठ जाता है और कई बार तो पेड़ ही गिर जाते हैं, इतनी तेजी से हवा बहती है. So it can make walking difficult and affect the use of items like umbrellas. You know, when the wind is light, then you'll feel good. Sometimes it'll be scary. You won't even be able to walk if the wind is in this direction and you're walking in this direction, it will keep pushing you back. इतनी तेजी से हवा बह रही होगी कि आप आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश करो, वो आपको पीछे धक्का दे देगा. इतनी तेजी से भी हवा चलती है. अम्ब्रेला उड़ा देती है. है ना, बारिश में कई बार when you're trying to use the umbrella, you won't even be able to use the umbrella. So winds can broadly be classified in 3 types. तो wind जो है has different temperaments. अलग अलग तरीके की हवा होती है. प्यारी भी होती है, डरावनी भी होती है, it's scary also, it's pleasant also. So we divide it in 3 kinds. Permanent wind, seasonal wind and local winds. Permanent, नाम से समझ आ रहा है, even the name is enough for us. These are the winds which basically are there and will always be there in those particular periods of the year. ये वो हवा है जो हर साल उस वक्त में साल के वहाँ पे उस जगह पे ज़रूर बहेगी. So there are multiple names. Trade winds, westerlies, easterlies, they blow constantly in a specific direction throughout the year. So air will always have directions. Why? It's like a science. I'll make it very simple for you and explain it in one statement. Because all of this, what are westerlies, what are easterlies, class 7th में, 8th में, 9th में, 10th में, you have to keep reading it one by one. Not everything will be learned today itself. So let's basically understand. Earth moves in a certain direction. Earth moves from west to east. Sun rises from east and sets in the west. It's all defined. We know Earth is tilted. Okay? We know that it moves, it revolves around the sun. It will cause the season. So everything is fixed. Because every position, every movement is fixed. What we also know is that the temperature variation will also be fixed throughout the year. पूरे साल जो है एक fixed तरीके से मौसम और temperature जो है वो बदलता रहेगा. Where it will be hot, where it will be cold, we know all of that. So when the hot and the cold places are defined, the high pressure and the low pressure air zones are also defined, which means because of the high pressure and the low pressure air zone, the movement of the air is also defined. So when the wind will blow from which direction to which direction is also defined. तो आपका permanent winds वही wind है जो particular direction में वो air pressure के difference की वजह से move करती हैं हर साल. दूसरा है seasonal winds, which is winds change direction with season like monsoon in India. आगे चल के हम और डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे in different classes, but with the weather, with the season also the winds will change. Local winds वो हैं which occurs only during some times of the day or year in small areas. It will not be covering big areas like Loo. Loo will only happen in summers and only in some parts of India, not throughout the India. So it will depend on what specific local conditions are, how hot, cold, high pressure, low pressure that area is, resulting in that particular atmospheric condition. That is what is known as local winds. So with this, we have finished today's session. Let's quickly summarize what we did today. We understood that weather changes every day. Climate is weather conditions added together, taken as an average, and is for a long term, for a bigger area. Temperature varies night, day, season to season. It's basically dependent on the insolation, the amount of sun rays received. Air pressure affects the weather patterns, right? And we know that high temperature means low air pressure, low temperature means high air pressure. Winds are categorized as permanent, seasonal and local. Now winds can be refreshing, but winds can also be destructive. It can be pleasant, it can be scary. Some of the strongest winds ever recorded that came to India was in 1999. So we probably have not, you have not experienced it, I don't remember it. The devastation was unimaginable. So let's stay tuned to learn that what these winds were, how these disasters are caused. Okay, Ritika, there will be post activity. Yes, check it out. Okay. And guys, make sure that you are logged into the Embibe app or website and register for the second session of atmospheric conditions, which will be doing day after. तो उसको ज़रूर अपने लिए ready कर लो, ठीक है, register कर लो. I'll see you there. Do not forget to check out the Embibe Lens app and stay tuned. I'll see you guys soon. Till the next time, have a great evening. Make sure that you have a good read of all the concepts and then come back and ask questions if you have. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a great time. Hasta la vista, bye-bye, ciao. I'll see you day after tomorrow. Take care and keep imbibing.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.